Sairam students, your exams are going to start from 24th of July. So we'll revise the two lessons which are there for the unit test. So today we are going to revise children chapter 1, the living world, adaptations and classification. Now before starting the revision children, first I will clarify your doubts whatever you had asked. So let's move to the doubts. Now in the worksheet there was a fill in the blank that the earth receives dash from the sun. So children, by mistake I had not given the option of energy, right? So the three options are energy, air or sound. So the earth receives energy from the sun. So in the worksheet I had given three different answers, but those answers were not applicable to the correct answer. So one student had asked the doubt that we hide and we have long ears. This question is wrong and the answer is also wrong. So I would like to tell the student that the question is also correct and the answer is also correct. So it is pertaining to the lesson we hide, that is adaptation in grassland plants. So in equatorial region the grasses they grow very tall. So the animals like elephant, tiger, deer, they all can hide in those grasses. So it is pertaining to the lesson. And then the next question is we have long ears. So in adaptation in forest animals we had seen herbivorous animals. So herbivorous animals, they have got long ears so that they can hear receive the sounds from the long distances and different directions. So these two questions are related to the textbook, right? So both are correct. Let's move to the next doubt. One child had asked, explain the adaptation in parasites. This question I had given as homework and I had told that the answer, it will be on page number 4. So the page number 4 only the answer is there and the first paragraph is the whole answer. Most of the plants are anchored in the ground and are autotrophic. So however, plants like dodder are parasitic. The plant body of the dodder consists of yellow wire-like stems. It is leafless and cannot perform photosynthesis. However, it has hostorial roots for absorbing the nutrients from the host plant. These roots penetrate up to the conducting vessels of the host plant to absorb water and food. So this is the answer for explain the adaptation in parasites. Next, in chapter 2, I had given the written work that what are the similarities and the differences between jawar and moong. So the similarities what I had given are correct, that both jawar and moong seed are edible and both jawar and moong are flowering plants. But in the differences I had written as seeds of jawar are monocotyledonous and seeds of moong are monocotyledonous. But it is actually that the seeds of moong are dicotyledonous. So children, I had sent a message in the group also to correct this answer. So please correct this answer as moong are dicotyledonous. So and the rest of the queries were pertaining to the diagrams, the differences and the definitions. So everything is going to come children. So you have to read whatever worksheets you have solved, whatever homework questions I had given, whatever written notes we have given, all the things you have to read. And as you know that the whole paper is going to be objective type. So These were the doubts which you all had asked. I hope your doubts have been clarified now. So now let's move to the revision of our first chapter. So what we had seen in first chapter, the definition of adaptation, gradual changes that occur in the body parts and also in the behavior of the organisms, which helps them to adjust to their surroundings. Such changes are called as adaptation. So these are the definition of adaptation. Then we saw about the adaptation in aquatic plants. Now aquatic plants, what we had seen, that some of the aquatic plants, they are firmly rooted in the soil and the bottom of the water bodies, and their stems, they are submerged in the water, whereas the leaves and the flowers, they float on the surface. Then some aquatic plants, they're entirely afloat in water because their roots, they are not fixed in the soil, right? And then we saw what, children? The stems and the leaves of some aquatic plants, they are covered with a waxy layer. Also, we had seen that some of the aquatic plants, their leaves, they are thin and slender like ribbon. And why they are thin and slender like ribbon? Because it helps them to withstand the fast water currents. Also, some aquatic plants, they have got air spaces in the petioles and the stems. Now because of these air spaces present in them, they can float in water. So let's move to the next part, adaptation in desert plants. Now desert plants, they are either leafless or their leaves are like small needles or have been modified into thorns, and because of this they lose very little water by evaporation. Now the stem, it stores food and water, and therefore the stem is the fleshy part. Now the stems, they are green in color, and that's the reason they can perform the process of photosynthesis. Also the stems, on the stems there is a thick layer of waxy substance, and the roots of these desert plants, they penetrate deep into the soil in search of water. So let's move to the next part, adaptation in plants of snowy regions. Now in the snowy regions, there are coniferous trees like deodar and pine. Now these trees, they are conical in shape and they have got sloping branches. Now because of their conical shape, the snow, it does not get accumulated on the tree. So whenever there is extreme cold or extreme snowfall, the snow does not get accumulated on the tree, and the thick bark, it helps to withstand the cold. Next we saw about the adaptation in plants of forest regions. Now in the forest region, we see a variety of plants like trees, shrubs and herbs. So all these trees, they compete among themselves for sunlight. So the trees, they grow very tall to get the sunlight, and the climbers and vines, they grow at a greater height with the support of these trees. Next we saw about the adaptation in grassland plants. Now in grassland plants, there are different types of bushes and grasses, and the fibrous roots, they prevents the soil erosion. And in equatorial region, the grasses, they are very tall. So the animals like elephant, tiger, deer, they can hide easily in these tall grasses. And in the cold regions, the grasses are very short. So there you can see the animals like rabbit. Now adaptation for ingestion of food in plants. So many plants that they grow in soil, they are mostly autotrophic. Autotrophic means they can prepare their own food. So some plants like dodder, that is Cuscuta, they are parasitic, and these plants, they have got no leaves, so they are leafless and they cannot carry out the process of photosynthesis. They have yellow wire like stems, and these plants, they grow on the body of the other plants. What it does, it grows on the other plant and it absorbs the nutrient from the plant on which it grows. So the host plant means on the plant which this dodder plant is growing, right? And then there are some fungi. So these fungi also, they do not have chlorophyll, so they cannot perform the process of photosynthesis. So they have got root like fibers from which they absorb the nutrients. Then plants, they require sodium, potassium and nitrogen for their growth. But there are some plants like Venus flytrap, Drosera, pitcher plant, they are deficient in nitrogen. So to fulfill their needs of nitrogen, what do? They consume the insects, because they have got the ability to attract the insects. Then we saw about the adaptation in animals. Now fishes, they have got scales on the skin and fins on the body. So their body is tapered towards both the ends and therefore it looks like a spindle. Now these fishes, they breathe with gills instead of nose, and they have got transparent eyelids. So, and they have got air bladders within the body, and because of this they can float in water. The ducks and the frog, they have got webbed toes and they use their legs like oars. Now oars, I had told you children, it is like a long pipe which is used to row a boat. So the frogs, they have also got waxy feathers, and so because of that the water hen and the ducks, they have got waxy feathers, so the water does not stay on them. The water flows from these waxy feathers. Now the frogs, they have got some typical characteristics like slippery and smooth skin, webbed toes and triangular head, and because of this they can easily swim in the water. You all know that frogs, they are called as amphibians because they can live on land as well as in water. So now whenever they are on land, they breathe through the nose and the lungs, and whenever they are in water, they breathe through the skin. So now let's see about the adaptation in forest and grassland animals. Now the carnivorous animals, they have got strong legs, and because of this they can run fast and capture their prey easily. They have also got claws and canine teeth. Now canine teeth, they are sharp and they are pointed. They have got padded paws. Padded means there are very soft paws. So because of this they can silently go behind and capture their prey easily. So stalk means go behind the herbivorous animals or their prey. And the eyes, they are located in front of the head so that they can spot their prey from long distance. Then we'll see about the herbivorous animals. In herbivorous animals, the eyes, they are located below the forehead. Now because the eyes, they are located below the forehead on either side of the head, they have got a wide angle vision which helps them to protect them from the predators. Predators are the carnivorous animals. They have also got long legs, and because of this they can run fast and take long leaps. Leaps means they can take long jumps. Also they have got long and freely moving ears. So because of this they can receive the sounds from long distances and different directions. Then we saw about the adaptation in animals of snowy regions. So in the snowy regions, we see the animals like yak, polar bear, white fox, silver fox, Siberian husky dog, and snow leopard. So these animals, they have got some typical characteristics like their body color and the hair and the skin. So they have got thick hair so that they can adjust to the surrounding. Then we saw about the adaptation in desert animals. Now desert means there is severe scarcity of water. So the desert animals, they have got thick skin so that they can prevent the loss of water from the body. Also they have got long legs with flat and cushioned soles. Their nostrils, because of the nostrils, they are protected by the folds of the skin. So eyelashes also, they are thick and long. And animals like snake, lizard, spiders and rats, they live in the deep burrows, but during the daytime and in the during the night, they are very active. Then we saw about the adaptation in aerial animals. Aerial animals means those which can fly in the sky. So the spindle shaped body minimizes the resistance of air while flying. They have got hollow bones, feathers, and their forelegs, they are modified into wings, which makes their body light in weight, and they are adapted for flying. So the body of the insects, it also is tapered at both the end and it is light in weight. Bats, they can fly with the help of a thin fold of skin between the forelegs and the hind legs, that is known as patagium. Then about the adaptation in reptiles. Now snakes, earthworms, these are called as reptiles. They use their muscles for creeping. And what is the adaptation in them? The skin, the soles of the feet and the body color. So what is the adaptation in the house lizard? They have got clawed toes and thin soles. And the snakes, they have got scaly skin. Then we saw about the adaptation for food in animals. So animals, they are categorized as herbivores and carnivores, and every animal has got some special adaptation to make the process of feeding easy. Then adaptation for blending with the surroundings. We cannot spot easily colorful butterflies, lizards and grasshoppers because they get camouflage, means they get mixed among the grasses and the parts of the plants, and these colors, because of their colors, it gets blended with the surroundings. Then we saw about the Darwin's theory of evolution. So Charles Darwin, he studied about the different types of plants and animals, and he said that only those organisms are likely to survive which can best adapt themselves to the changing environment, and this was Darwin's first principle called as theory of survival of fittest. Then he made a second principle that if an organism is born with a new beneficial characteristic and is able to survive, this change is preserved in the next generation. So this is called as Darwin's second principle, called as the theory of natural selection. Then we saw about the classification of living organisms. Now it is very difficult for us to remember and study all the organisms in the living world. So classification was used. So hierarchy is formed in the classification that starts from the kingdom Animalia or kingdom Plantae, and accordingly the groups and subgroups are formed depending upon their basic similarities and differences, which is called as the hierarchy of classification. Then the binomial nomenclature was made by the scientist Carl Linnaeus. So he used it to identify each and every organism, and a scientific name was being assigned to each organism. So this scientific name, it consists of two parts. So the first part is the genus and the second part is the species. So what he did, he identified all the organisms and he assigned a binomial name as per the guidelines of International Code of Nomenclature. So children, we have finished the revision of the first lesson. So in the next session we will revise the second chapter, and till then, goodbye.